even know how much that vase costs. Madam,
You broke a vase worth more than your entire year's salary.
Madam, please, I said I'm sorry.
Sorry? Wait until my followers see this.
Please don't record me.
Why? What are you hiding?
The first thing Chiamaka did when she saw the broken vase was not to ask if Ada was okay. She reached for her phone, she switched on the camera, and she smiled. Guys, come and see what happened in my house this afternoon. Ada stood frozen in the middle of the luxurious living room, staring at the pieces of the expensive vase scattered across the marble floor. Madam, I'm so sorry, she said quietly. I didn't mean to break it. Chiamaka turned the camera toward her. You didn't mean to break it? Ada nodded quickly. Yes, Ma. You know how much this vase cost? Ada shook her head. No, Ma. Of course you don't. Chiamaka laughed. She turned the camera back toward herself. Guys, this is exactly what I deal with every single day. You employ somebody to help you in your house, and instead of being grateful, they destroy things worth more than their entire family has ever owned. Ada lowered her head. Madam, please, I'm sorry. But Chiamaka wasn't interested in an apology. She was interested in content. Look at her face, she said to the camera. Now she's doing innocent face. A few people were already joining her live stream. Comments started appearing. What happened? Who is she? Is that your house help? Chiamaka laughed. Yes, my house help. Ada's eyes filled with tears. Madam, please don't record me. Chiamaka looked at her and laughed. Why, are you shy? Please, Ma. Then don't break expensive things. Ada bent down and began picking up the broken pieces. Chiamaka continued recording. Guys, if you have house help, please be careful. Some of them will enter your house and start behaving as if they own everything. Ada didn't respond. She simply kept picking up the pieces. That was the moment Chiamaka's video began spreading. Within an hour, people were sharing it. Within 3 hours, thousands of people had watched it. And by the following morning, the video had gone viral. Chiamaka woke up to hundreds of notifications. She smiled proudly as she scrolled through the comments. This is crazy, she said, laughing. People were asking for more. Some were making jokes about Ada. Others were insulting her. Chiamaka loved every second of it. She didn't care that the girl she was humiliating was a human being. To her, Ada was simply content. Ada, meanwhile, was sitting alone in the small room at the back of the house. She held her phone in both hands as she watched the video. Every time Chiamaka laughed, another tear rolled down her cheek. She wasn't crying because of the broken vase. She was crying because thousands of strangers were laughing at her. People who didn't know her. People who didn't know her story. People who didn't know why she had taken the job in the first place. Ada wiped her face and whispered, I wish Daddy could see me now. But she quickly shook her head. No. She didn't want to call. She had promised herself she would handle her life on her own. Months earlier, Ada had left her father's home after an argument. Her father had wanted her to join the family business. But Ada wanted something different. She wanted to know what it felt like to work for herself. She wanted to experience ordinary life. She wanted to understand how people survived without the privileges she had grown up with. So she had left home quietly. She changed her phone number. She found a job, and she became a house help. Nobody in Chiamaka's house knew who Ada really was, and Ada intended to keep it that way. But Chiamaka didn't stop with one video. The following evening, she went live again. Guys, you won't believe what happened today, she laughed. Remember my house help from yesterday? The comments started pouring in. Yes, the vase girl. We want an update, Chiamaka smiled. She is still here. She turned the camera toward Ada, who was standing in the kitchen. Ada immediately looked away. Chiamaka laughed. She's shy now because she's famous. The comments exploded. Ada quietly continued washing the dishes. Chiamaka rolled her eyes. Honestly, some people should be grateful for opportunities. If not for me, where would this girl be? Ada heard every word, but she remained silent. She had learned that sometimes silence was the only dignity you could keep when somebody had already decided to misunderstand you. Later that night, while Ada was folding clothes, her phone rang. She looked at the unfamiliar number. She hesitated before answering. Hello? There was silence for a moment. Then a familiar male voice spoke. Ada. Her heart stopped. Daddy? Yes. Ada sat down immediately. Her father continued. I've been trying to find you. Ada swallowed. How did you get this number? That doesn't matter. What matters is that I'm coming to Lagos. Ada's eyes widened. Daddy, no. Yes. Please don't. I have something important to discuss with you. Ada lowered her voice. I'm fine. I know you're working. She froze. How did you know? Her father didn't answer immediately. Then he said, Ada, you are my daughter. Do you honestly think I stopped looking for you? Ada closed her eyes. She had hoped he wouldn't find her, not because she didn't love him, but because she wanted to prove that she could survive without his money or influence. Daddy, please don't come here. I'll see you tomorrow. The call ended. Ada stared at the phone. She knew everything was about to change. The next morning, Chiamaka noticed that Ada seemed distracted. What's wrong with you? Nothing, Ma. You've been looking at your phone since morning. Ada said nothing. Chiamaka frowned. Who keeps calling you? My family. Chiamaka laughed. Your family? Yes, Ma. Are they sending you money? Ada looked at her. No. Then what's the problem? Ada simply walked away. Chiamaka shook her head. Strange girl. That afternoon, Chiamaka posted another video. She sat in front of her ring light wearing designer clothes. Guys, I have something to say. She smiled. Some people really need to learn their place. She continued talking about Ada without mentioning her name. She came into my house with nothing, and now she's acting like she's somebody. The comments immediately started coming. Who are you talking about? Your house help? Chiamaka laughed. You people know exactly who I'm talking about. She didn't know that someone else was watching, someone who had just arrived in Lagos. Ada's father sat inside a large black SUV as his driver moved through the streets. Beside him sat his assistant. Sir, should we go directly to the house? Yes. He looked out of the window. His face was calm, but his eyes were serious. His daughter had disappeared for months. Now he had finally found her, and he was determined to bring her home. Meanwhile, Chiamaka's mother had heard about the TikTok videos. She confronted her daughter that evening. Chiamaka, this thing you're doing is not right. Mummy, it's just content. Content? Yes. You are humiliating that girl publicly. Mummy, she's my house help. And that makes her less human? Chiamaka rolled her eyes. You're being dramatic. Her mother sighed. One day you will learn that money does not give you the right to disrespect people. Chiamaka laughed. Nothing is going to happen. The next morning, something did happen. At exactly 10:17 a.m., a black SUV entered the compound. Then another. Then another. The security guard quickly opened the gate. Chiamaka heard the sound of vehicles outside. She walked toward the window. What is happening? She stepped outside. Several well-dressed security personnel were standing beside the vehicles. Then the door of the largest SUV opened. A tall, distinguished man stepped out. He wore a dark suit and carried himself with the quiet confidence of someone who was accustomed to being obeyed. He looked around. Then he asked, Where is Ada? Chiamaka stared at him. Who are you? The man looked at her. My name is Daniel Okoro. Chiamaka's expression changed slightly. She recognized the name. Everybody in Lagos business circles knew Daniel Okoro. He was the owner of one of the country's biggest construction and property companies. But what was he doing here? Before Chiamaka could speak, Ada came running out of the house. The moment she saw him, she stopped. Daddy? Everything went silent. Chiamaka turned toward Ada, then back toward the man. Daddy? Daniel walked toward his daughter. He looked at her clothes. He looked at her tired face. Then he looked at the house. His expression hardened. What happened to you? Ada shook her head. Nothing, Daddy. Daniel looked at Chiamaka. Then he asked, You're the woman who employs my daughter? Chiamaka swallowed. Yes. Daniel's voice became colder. You called her your house help? Chiamaka couldn't answer. He continued. You recorded her. You humiliated her. You allowed thousands of strangers to laugh at her. Chiamaka's face went pale. Sir, I didn't know. You didn't know what? That she was your daughter. Daniel stared at her. And if she wasn't my daughter? Chiamaka had no answer. Daniel stepped closer. My daughter does not become less deserving of respect because she works in your house. Ada stood silently behind him. Daniel continued. She left home because she wanted to understand what ordinary people experience. She wanted to earn her own money. She wanted independence. Chiamaka looked at Ada in disbelief. You're rich? Ada looked down. My family is comfortable. Daniel shook his head. My daughter doesn't need to prove anything to anybody. Then Chiamaka's mother came rushing outside. The moment she saw Daniel, she froze. Mr. Okoro? Daniel looked at her. Yes. She immediately understood. Their company had been negotiating a major property development with Daniel's company for months. She turned toward her daughter. What have you done? Chiamaka's eyes filled with tears. Mommy. Her mother shook her head. You humiliated his daughter? Chiamaka finally broke down. She deleted the videos. She apologized to Ada, but Ada didn't immediately respond. She simply looked at her and said, You did not hurt me because I was your house help. Chiamaka cried, You hurt me because you believed my job made me less human. The words hit Chiamaka harder than any punishment could have. Ada continued, You never asked where I came from. You never asked why I was working. You never asked what I wanted to become. She paused. You only saw a uniform. Chiamaka wiped her tears. I am sorry. This time there was no camera, no followers, no comments, no ring light, just a woman finally realizing that the person she had treated as insignificant had feelings, dreams, and a family that loved her. Ada eventually forgave her, not because what Chiamaka did was acceptable, but because Ada refused to allow somebody else's cruelty to turn her into a bitter person. Daniel also spoke to Chiamaka. Having money is not a crime, he told her, but using money to make people feel worthless will eventually leave you with something money cannot buy, an empty heart. Those words stayed with Chiamaka. Months later, something remarkable happened. Chiamaka changed. Her social media platform was no longer filled with videos mocking people. Instead, she began using it to promote small businesses, support young women, and share stories that encourage people. Ada returned home and resumed her education. She eventually joined her father's company, not because she needed the money, but because she had discovered that she could combine her education with the experience she gained from living an ordinary life. And whenever Chiamaka told the story of how they met, she never called Ada the house help. She called her a friend, because sometimes the person you look down on today may be the person who teaches you the most important lesson of your life. Never judge someone by their clothes. Never judge someone by their job. Never assume that because someone is serving you, they are beneath you. And most importantly, never use another person's pain as entertainment, because the person you humiliate today may have a story you know nothing about. And sometimes the quiet person standing in the corner of the room isn't powerless. They may simply be choosing not to use their power against you. Thank you so much for listening to this story. If this story touched you, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more African stories, emotional life lessons, and unforgettable stories. And remember, respect people, regardless of their position today. You never know where life is taking them tomorrow.